Cocaine, wild nightlife, beautiful beaches, and even more beautiful people. That about sums up Miami, or does it? If you don't live in Miami, then Hollywood and TV have left you with a very partial understanding of the Magic City, which is exactly why I wanted to make this video of the top 10 things that you probably didn't know about Miami. Jake Fletcher here with the Fletcher Group at eXp Realty, right here in Miami, Florida. And if you're excited to learn more about the Magic City, go ahead and throw some magic on that like button, the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss videos like this in the future. I've always said that Miami is the greatest city in the world, and if you think there's a better city, I'm waiting to hear about it in the comments down below. And although as amazing as Miami is, it's a type of place that'll either chew you up and spit you out or form you into a better version of yourself in a very short time. And maybe that's part of the allure of why so many people have been moving here lately. So I wanted to demystify Miami a little bit with this video and share with you the top 10 things that you may not have known about the city so you can decide if it's time to buy those moving boxes. And with that said, let's move into the video. All right, so let's dive into this list of the top 10 things that you probably didn't know about Miami. Number one is that we run on Cuban coffee, and ventanitas are magical. So ventanitas literally translates to little window, and basically it's a place where all of your coffee and pastry dreams can come true. And they're basically are all about pastelitos and the 3 C's: convenience, cost, and Cuban coffee. So everyone has their favorite establishments that serve these tasty treats. Mary's Coin Laundry is the OG 24-hour ventanita located south of the city, just off of US 1 and Southwest 27th Avenue. Some honorable mentions include, at least from me personally, include Vicky's Bakery, Pinecrest Bakery, and El Brazo Fuerte, which translates to the strong arm. I actually once had a dream of starting a Pacific Northwest style little drive-through coffee store like you'll see in parking lots out there, but call it La Ventana Cubana or the Cuban window, and bring pastelitos and the Cuban coffee experience to the rest of America, because people don't know what they're missing out on out there. In my opinion, I think that it's an absolutely fantastic aspect of our culture here. So number 2 is that hurricanes are actually pretty rare here, and in my experience, they're not that big of a deal. So I've lived in Miami for 16 years, and we've only had one hurricane that did significant damage around the city, which was Irma in September of 2017, which got up to a Category 5 at its peak, although it didn't hit Miami when it was a Category 5. I believe it was a Category 4, but anyways, it wasn't a direct hit to Miami, thankfully, but it was responsible for 7 deaths in the state of Florida, unfortunately. Also, I lived in the Grove at the time, and there was a lot of huge trees that got downed in the streets and people's yards, and people had extensive home damage in the Grove because there's a lot of foliage there, and we didn't have power for about 2 weeks, although it seemed like we were some of the last people, honestly, to get power back because, like I said, the Grove has a lot of foliage, so it was a lot more damage, a lot more work to be done. So most people around the city's electricity seemed like it was back up and running in about a week or less. So the hurricane preparation process, though, is super important just in case you ever find yourself in that situation where there's a hurricane incoming, and you're going to want to learn some of the steps to prepare for storms, including things like having emergency food, water, and medical, as well as power supplies. Of course, you always want to make sure that your car has a full tank of gas in case you need to evacuate. Consider different safety and personal items that you may want. Get important documents in a watertight container, and have a fire extinguisher available just in case. So those are some of the basics. Of course, take it upon yourself to really prepare and so forth. Don't just listen to me, but also, I think it's important to mention that you should also make sure that you have a plan for your family and for your pets, and always listen to evacuation orders, because if they come through, it's for a reason. Number 3, areas of downtown Miami Beach and Brickell flood after storms. So these are areas of Miami that have real flooding issues today, as it is, after storms. And it's something to be aware of if you live in those areas. If you don't live in those areas, then you just get to watch people waterboarding behind their cars on Only in Dade. As for the elephant in the room, though, of sea level rise, here are my thoughts in a nutshell without getting political and without taking sides in the matter. So Flame me in the comments for being reasonable. Clearly, we want to all be cognizant of any and all potential threats to humanity. The local governments here seem to be taking an increasingly more conscious stance on the matter, as well as taking certain steps to try and mitigate effects of flooding or potential sea level change. Whether it's enough or whether we should even be doing it at all is, it's up for you to decide, but at least the government here is doing something, and hopefully they'll be responsive in the correct manner as we move forward, and we'll look at the data, and it won't be like a political football like so many things nowadays. That being said, as for me at least personally, as long as banks who have way more resources than I do are giving 30-year mortgages on properties in Miami Beach, then I personally feel pretty fine about buying in flood zone X or X500. And honestly, worst case scenario, we just put everything on stilts like in the Keys. We use boats to get everywhere, and Miami will still be the greatest city in the world. So, win-win. Number 4, Miami is not Miami Beach, and many locals don't even go to South Beach. So when most people from around the world say that they're visiting Miami, what they actually mean to say is that they're visiting Miami Beach, but they mistakenly use the name interchangeably. I'm actually surprised how many people assume that Miami means Miami Beach. There are actually 2 different municipalities with different governments, different mayors, different demographics, and a totally different vibe. So a few of the main differences between the two in practical terms, and as I see it, are that with Miami Beach, obviously you have more of the beach vibe, whereas in Miami, it's more urban. Miami Beach has a lot more tourists and tourist-catered destinations, whereas Miami has more of the significant museums, the art district, arenas, and a lot more residential housing since it has a bigger population by a factor of almost 5-1. And those are just a few of the differences to give you an idea. Number 5, it can be tough for some people to make friends here. So I've heard a lot of people talk smack about Miami and the people in it over the years, which I think is unjustified. And I'm not here to argue with anyone, but I think Miamians aren't the problem. It's that those people who are complaining just haven't found their tribes. You have to remember that even though it's a small town, big city, it is still a big city. And in a lot of big cities, people don't generally talk to their neighbors a lot. And honestly, Miami is no exception in this. However, there are so many events and scenes here that if you really, really make the effort, you'll find that Miamians are super warm and friendly people once that initial ice has been broken and they open up. Number 6, summertime is super hot and humid here, but wintertime is absolutely amazing. So we had an insanely great winter this year, probably one of the best that I remember, but now it's summer and, well, it's hotter than the devil's Personally, I love the heat. I'd rather be hot than cold because you can always go inside to the AC, but some places are so bone-chillingly cold, at least for me, that even when you go inside to the heat, it takes a long time to warm up, and I'm not here for that. Also, the humidity is good for your skin and your lungs, and it keeps you looking healthier and sexier. Number 7, Miami is an international melting pot with a heavy Latin American influence, and locals are actually few and far between here. So you may know that Miami has a heavy Latin American influence, but if you've never lived here, and especially if you've never been here, then you probably don't have a full grasp of just how much of a Latin influence there is. So according to 2021 census data, the percentage of Miami-Dade's population that is Hispanic or Latino is 69%. Nice. 17.4% are Black or African American, and 13.6% are white non-Hispanic. Like in many big cities, locals who are actually born in Miami are pretty few and far between. I always love talking to older people who have been here since the 1940s or so because they've seen most of the city's history unfold. And it's always interesting to hear their stories. Number 8, there are tons of amazing restaurants here, and Miami is a total foodie town. I used to hear people rag on Miami's food scene as recently as like 6 or 7 years ago, but those people's mouths are shut nowadays because Miami has become a definitive culinary mecca with some of the top chefs, restaurants, and food scenes in the world. You have a huge diversity of types of food here, maybe not at like a New York City level of diversity, but pretty dang good. You have celebrity chefs and some very innovative places opening all the time, and some of the best areas to find some of the best restaurants include Miami Beach, Brickell, Wynwood, Downtown, Coral Gables, and Coconut Grove, just to name a few. Number 9, Miami loves to dance. And as we just learned, 69% of the population here are Latino, and dancing is a central part of Latin culture, so it's pretty understandable that we love to dance here. And honestly, I don't care how serious or stiff someone is, you get them at a wedding in Miami, and their ass is gonna be dancing by the end of the night. So if you don't know how to dance, that's okay. There are plenty of dance schools to teach you how to cut a rug, whether it's salsa, merengue, or pop music. And when all else fails, there's always tequila. Number 10, there's so much natural beauty here, and a lot of it is just a short drive from the city. So I'll be doing future videos to give you all more info on some of the natural beauty that closely surrounds the Miami area. But let's just start out by saying that it's actually pretty extensive and quite surprising to learn about some of the things that exist here. From Fairchild Gardens to the Everglades, from hiking trails to mangroves that you can paddleboard and kayak through, there's a wide variety of nature activities that you can enjoy here. And the biggest aspect of our local natural beauty that a lot of people overlook is beneath the waves. I think sometimes people forget that there's a whole other beautiful world just off the coast here that's just waiting for you to explore it. Now that you know the top 10 things that most people don't know about Miami, the next step is to start thinking about where you want to live. Luckily for you, I've already made a video on my favorite neighborhood, which I'll throw on screen right now, and I'll be making videos about all the other neighborhoods as well, so make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss those videos. And consider sharing this video with anyone you know who might be looking to move to Miami, and if you'd like more personalized help from a local expert, all my contact info is down below, and I'd love to help you relocate to the greatest city in the world like I've done with so many other people. Thanks for watching, and take care.